Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you are new, if you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina and I am about to do another monthly wrap up. Today I will be telling you guys all of the books that I read in February. And before I even get started, I just want to say I did not read much of anything in February. So I'm going to do a spin on this as well because you guys know my goal is to do monthly wrap-ups. If I don't end up having enough books to talk about, I will also include the books that I'm currently reading right now. The date is March 6th. So the books that I'm currently reading right now as of March 6th, I'll let you guys know what they are. And I just want to say that although I didn't read much in February, I did have a good time with what I did read in February. Most of these I gave like 4 stars or higher, I believe. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book I read is for the one and only series that you guys know, the Addicted series. I read the sequel, Addicted for Now. You guys saw my vlog talking about this book, so I'm not gonna go into much detail about it, but just know that I enjoyed it. I loved it, and I gave it 4 stars. It was the first book that I finished in February, though I did start it like late January. It still counts, okay? I give it 4 stars. And again, this is a reread, so it's not like I went into this blind, no real first impressions, though I will say I did enjoy this book. It's very messy, as most of the series is. I talked about this series in my last month wrap up as well for January, so again, not gonna go too far into it, but the Addicted series does follow a couple, Lily and Lauren, who are both addicts. Lily is a sex addict and Lauren is an alcoholic, and they're just trying to navigate how they can be in a relationship when they are both facing like their own personal struggles and their struggles outside of their addictions as well, having to do with like their family and friends. It's a really good series. I have my issues with it. If you saw my vlog, you know my issues with it, and I feel like the issues are going to continue as I go through the rest of the books in the series because I have like 7 more to go. But this reread has been very fun for me, and I think I needed this year, like something fun, no real stakes or anything, because again, it's something that I've already read. And yeah, these characters I adore. Like, these characters are my family, so being able to like jump into these books again has just been honestly kind of like cathartic. These characters just feel like real people to me, so that's what's been making me like continue my read. The next book I will be reading is Kiss the Sky. I haven't started it yet. So, and with that being said, I don't know when the next vlog is coming out because I haven't started the next few books that I need to read for it, but I'm very excited for that one because it has my favorite couple in the series, Rose and Connor. So keep a lookout for that. But yeah, I gave this 4 stars. Who's surprised? Not me. Next book I read is one that I mentioned wanting to read all the way back in December. I think this was one of the books that I put as like one of the books I wanted to read before the end of the year, and I didn't, obviously, because it's in my February wrap up. I finally got through Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This book took me on a ride, just as like someone who's living in today, like today's age, reading something like this. I was very emotional, but also as a reader getting attached to like the characters in this book. It was a lot, so I had to pick it up and put it down, especially in the month of January, because as you guys know, all of the California fires were happening, and so something about this book really just like hit too close to home. So for the past few months, I have been picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down, until I finally finished it in mid-February. So I'm going to talk about it. This book, if you guys don't know, Parable of the Sower, it follows the main character Lauren, and she is living in the 2020s, and during this time, in this dystopian book, I can't stress this enough, this is labeled as like a dystopian type of book, even though it is set today. It was written in the 90s, so please keep that in mind while I explain what it's about, because it is going to probably hit a little bit too close, but alas. This book follows Lauren as she lives her life in the 2020s, where everyone is going through the economic crisis and global warming and climate change and all of these issues that have heavily affected society. She lives in a gated community with her preacher father, a few of her siblings, and her stepmom. And in this gated community, they're just trying to keep each other safe while also blocking out the real problems on the outside. Because on the outside, people are like killing each other, they're hunting each other, they're just trying to find what they can to survive. Lauren has kind of been blocked off from that up until a certain point in the book where she does need to leave the gated community and find her way in the outside world that she has been privy to her whole life. However, this is kind of hard for her because she has hyper empathy. So if someone around her were to get injured in any sort of way physically, she would also feel that. So it's just about her not only learning like how the real world works in a way, but also like learning how she views it from her own standpoints. Throughout this book, we learn about this kind of, I don't know, community she wants to form. What's it called? Wild Seed, I think? Earth Seed. It's called Earth Seed. And she's like writing these texts, these poems basically about how people should live in this world today, knowing that there is no really going back from this. We can only look forward. She's trying to form a community now that her old community is like basically gone. And she meets people along the way. Oh, it's a heavy book. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I explained it enough to the point where you guys understand the concept of it, but just know this is not an easy read at all. Like I said, I had to pick it up and put it down constantly because I was just like, I'm not in the right headspace to read it, especially in January. It was impossible for me to get to like past like 10 pages every time I read it. But with that being said, I gave this book, what did I give this book? 4 stars. Octavia Butler has a way of like writing about this dystopian world and all of these problems while also making the characters feel so real and personal. And again, maybe it's just because of the time I'm reading it in now, where I do empathize heavily with these characters and what they're going through because of what we're living in currently. But I think the highlight of the story was getting to know all of the characters, even the ones that I did not like. I was able to understand their motivations and who they were, able to understand them better because this world that they live in now, and like it's like a dog eat dog world. Basically have to fight for yourself and only yourself. In terms of like plot and story, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to feel about it still. It's been like a few weeks since I finished this book and I don't know really how to put into words how I feel about it overall, but I liked it enough to give it 4 stars. I will say, once I got to like the second half of this book, it was easier to read. The beginning was so slow because we're getting to know like her home community, the community that she grew up in this neighborhood of people that she's known her whole life. And the only people she's known her whole life, because again, they never leave the gated community. And that part of the book kind of felt stale a little. And again, the characters made me want to continue reading, but like there was nothing really going on in like the first 150, 200 pages of the book. So I was kind of bored up until she did end up escaping her home to go find salvation somewhere else. But once she did, Lauren, when I say she, I'm talking about Lauren, the main character. Once she did, I was back in it. I was very in it. It was just like go, 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 kind of action packed from there. Not much action, like not much fighting in this book, but action packed as in there's actually stuff happening. Yeah, and as for a main character, I liked Lauren. She's also the one who made me really want to keep reading this book because she's not like the typical main character in like dystopian novels that tend to be like kind of the chosen one archetype. She's actually kind of cynical, a know-it-all, and just a girl who's trying to start a cult, essentially. Most of the reasons why I ended up giving this book such a high rating is because of the characters. I feel like I would need to reread it to figure out how I feel about the story overall, because although I like the messaging of what Octavia Butler was trying to do, I feel like this story, it was a lot. It was a lot, and I think I just need to get through it in like 1 or 2 sittings instead of spreading it out so much, and also do it at a time when like it doesn't feel so real. It really is crazy that she wrote this in the 90s. Like I still can't comprehend that. It's just so creepy to me. But like also it's crazy that she was able to like kind of predict what ends up happening later. And like I said, it's fiction. Like we're not on the level that this book is on yet, but like I can definitely see where she was pulling these ideas from. And living in the 2020s now, in 2025, when this book starts, it's kind of like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, yeah, that's my review of Parable of the Sower. I'm sorry if that was hard to follow, but just know that I did enjoy the book. I think I just would need to give it a reread to have like concise thoughts about it, because even now, if you can't tell, I don't really know how to feel about it. But 4 stars, that's the review. Last book that I read in February was in preparation for the new book in this series that recently came out a few days ago. I reread Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Who's surprised? Again, no one. I'm looking around, no one is shocked. I read this at the tail end of February, and it's to prep for the book Oathbound, the third book in the Legendborn cycle that came out, I think, this past Tuesday. And I always have fun reading Legendborn. Like, y'all know me. This book is my personality. It was bound to happen. I usually don't reread books to prep for the new book in a series, but for Legendborn, I kind of have to, especially because it's been like 3 years since Tracy Deonn released a book in this series, so I kind of forgot a lot. I needed to go back to the source material, and I reread this one and Bloodmarked. Legendborn, if you guys don't know, is about a girl named Bree, and she is going through grief after her mom passed away. And while she's grieving, she's also attending the early college that her mom used to go to when she was around her age. And Bree is here just to like feel closer to her. When she gets here, she starts seeing like weird demons, like just weird creatures around campus, and these weird people that are following the creatures and destroying them. And she's like, this is strange. Is no one else seeing this? Why am I the only one seeing this? One thing leads to another. She ends up stumbling upon a secret society that these people are from, and she finds out in some weird twisted way that this secret society may or may not have something to do with her mom's death. And so she infiltrates it and tries to figure out how these two things are connected. What she doesn't know, though, is that when she enters a secret society, she is now entering the world of descendants of King Arthur and his 13 knights. And she has to basically pretend like she's involved in this when she really doesn't care about King Arthur or his knights or these people. She just wants to know what happened to her mom. And these people have to be the ones to tell her, because the police aren't going to do it, because the police don't care about the case now that it's done. So yeah, it's all up to Bree to figure out what's going on. And then as she continues, she figures out some stuff about her own family lineage, and it just goes all over the place from there. It's such a good story. Like I said, my favorite book, my favorite fantasy, I'd say. I haven't read a fantasy like this. I know there are a lot of like King Arthurian retellings. I haven't read those. I've only read this one, and I'm open to, because Legendborn opened me to like that subgenre of fantasy books. I'm willing to read more. I just don't think they can compare to this. Like, this series is so good. Tracy Deonn's pen was penning, and I am just so excited to continue reading the rest of the books. She confirmed that it is going to be 4 books. The book that came out a few days ago was the 3rd book. I don't know how long we're gonna have to wait for the 4th one. I hope not long. Please don't let it be long. I gave this book a 5. I always do whenever I reread it. Granted, I think I wouldn't really count this necessarily as a reread fully, because most of it I did skim, because this is like my 4th or 5th time reading it at this point, and I didn't need to like really get into it. I mostly skimmed it, but I count it because I did go through it from beginning to end. So this is the last book that I read in February. Now let's get on to current reads. I think a good follow-up to this would be Oathbound. I am currently reading this. I am also filming a reading vlog for it. So I'm not going to tell you any of my thoughts as of right now, because you're going to see that in a video probably next week. If I can get this done sooner rather than later, that is preferred. But I'm trying honestly not to rush it. I'm having a lot of fun with this book. You guys could see it's huge. Let's compare the sizes. This book is humongous, and she keeps on making them longer and longer, because Bloodmarked was also longer than Legendborn, and Oathbound is longer than Bloodmarked. So at this point, the 4th book's gonna be like 900 pages, but whatever. Yeah, I'm currently reading this. I'm having such a good time, guys. I'm not that far. I mean, I guess I am. I'm like 200 pages in. I have no real thoughts as of right now that I can say on camera, because they're kind of spoilery. This is a current read of mine. This is the most prioritized current read, because I have a few other books that I'm also reading that I put on hold just so I can read this. Because I've been waiting 3 years. The hold up is done. Like, no more waiting around. I am going to finish this again, hopefully soon. Like, my goal is to finish this by like the end of the week, but we'll see. Again, just trying to take my time with it, because there's a lot happening in this one. You didn't think it could get messier. You didn't think it could get even more sad. You didn't think the characters could go through even more trauma. Tracy Deonn was like, oh, Bet. This is my current read as of right now, the one that I am prioritizing the most out of everything else. I do have 2 other books that I'm currently reading. One of them is Team Players by Deanna Gray. Now, if you guys remember, I read Sunny Disposition by Deanna Gray a little over a year ago, or maybe exactly a year ago. I can't remember. I really liked that book, and I have been saying for months that I want to get to the sequel, and I have gotten to it. I don't know if you guys can see that bookmark, but I'm very close to the halfway point. But as soon as I picked this up, I completely forgot that Oathbound was coming out. So this is the book that I stopped in the middle of to read Oathbound. But I am enjoying this so far. It's a good take on a hockey romance, because usually the hockey romances are about the guys who are hockey players. This one, both the girl and the guy are team captains of their respective teams, and it's kind of friends with benefits situation. That's kind of the trope, and it's really fun. I'm having a good time with this. Deanna Gray, she announced that the 3rd one is coming out soon, I think sometime this year, and I saw the art for it, and it's for a couple that I'm very excited about. Ooh, but I have to get through this one before I get too excited. But yeah, this is one of my current reads. This I can feel is going to be probably one of my favorite reads of the year. Deanna Gray, I was not familiar with your game up until Sunny Disposition, and now she might be climbing up as one of my favorite romance authors, specifically sports romance, because sports romances are usually hit or miss for me, because a lot of it can be corny sometimes, but this was hitting. So yeah, I can't wait to get back to it. Probably as soon as I finish Oathbound, because I feel like after I read Oathbound, I'm gonna need something a little bit more easy emotionally, just to digest after I read the behemoth that is that book. Last book I'm going to be talking about in this video is a current read that I started because one of my friends told me for months that she wanted me to read this, and I don't know what made me pick it up. I was just like, you know what, it's a book on my shelf, I need to read the books on my shelf, so let's give it a try. I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jamison Shi. This book is creepy as hell. I don't know how to describe it in words yet, because I'm not even that far. Let me check. I think I'm a little over 100 pages in. This book I was reading at the same time as Team Players, just as a mood reader thing, because I wasn't sure what I was in the mood for. So I picked up either a rom-com, sports hockey book, or a horror book, because that's woman, multifaceted, that's what we are. But yeah, I have nothing to say about this book because I am not that far into it. I'm literally this far into it, if you can even see that. I like the premise. In this book, we are following a girl who is top of her class at her dance academy in Paris, but she really just wants to be seen as the best. And although she technically is, because of how high she is ranked in the school, her biggest obstacle is how people view her because she's a black woman. Whoa, crazy. In order to get what she wants, she ends up befriending this one classmate who is also one of the top in her class, and this classmate shows her a way to be the best and have no one question whether you are the best. And this method is it's not ideal, but she does it, and now we move. I don't know. I got to the part right after that, so I have nothing to say because I barely made a dent in the story for real. But this story is creepy as heck. The story is very creepy, but I'm enjoying it. I've been wanting to read more horror books lately. I don't know what that's about, but I am in the mood to read them, and I think this is a good start for me. And I've never read anything by this author before. Her writing style is interesting. I'll keep an eye out for that. I know that the sequel for it recently came out within the past few months. Didn't know that it was a series, thought it was a standalone. So if I end up liking it enough, I'm not opposed to reading the sequel, because the way this story is unfolding, I'm a little bit scared for the main character. So I'm actually glad that it's continuing on, because I don't know, even though I'm not that far into this book, I don't know how she's gonna wrap something like this up in just a single book. So yeah, those are my current reads, and those were the books that I read in February. I know that this video probably wasn't all that great because I don't have many books to talk about, but I think the month of March is going to be my month of reading. There are so many books that I want to get to this month, and a lot of new releases happening. My most anticipated releases are coming out within March, April, and May. So the next few months, I'm just gonna have a ball. So consider this the calm before the storm of sorts, okay? This is nothing compared to what I'm about to give you guys at the end of the month in March. I'm gonna get through a lot of books. I promise you. I promise myself, really. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, thank you. If you'd like to follow me on social media, it'll all be linked down below. However, I am taking a social media break this month, so I haven't really been posting, but I will be back on said apps in the description in the upcoming month. If you guys have any thoughts on any of these books, let me know. If you've started Oathbound, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So exciting. I'm doing a buddy read on Storygraph with a few of my mutuals right now, and we're all talking about it on the app, and it's like so much fun. If you have any recommendations that you would like for me to read in the month of March, let me know and I will try my best to get to it. That's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.